ancestors to leave a trace of themselves upon the physical world, an ancient version of "I was here." They probably had a concept of a tangible future, a time when they would no longer walk the earth, when the story of their world would continue without them. We see their small story today, 40,000 years later, by reading it on the rocky limestone walls. Anything that is recognisable as writing didn't come along until about 5,000 years ago, by which time over 97% of our existence as a species, at least so far, had passed. Written words were first created by pressing symbols into clay tablets and chiselling them into stone, and later by scratching ink onto parchment. Their purpose was elegantly simple: to allow thoughts and stories to be recorded in the physical world precisely and accurately, and read later by somebody else. It is a means, other than the spoken word, by which the thoughts of one person can be placed into the mind of another, but it transcends the lifetime of the thought's original bearer. It is the closest humanity has ever got to mind reading, and the closest we'll ever come to communicating with the dead, though admittedly, the conversation is entirely in one direction. And it's all done via strange-looking shapes carved into stone tablets, scratched onto pieces of parchment with ink, or, as in the case with this book, printed onto paper, or perhaps shining from an e-book reader. And for those of you listening on audio, the words are written into computer code in the form of ones and zeros. Writing changes the way thoughts are recorded, and eliminates much scope for ambiguity and changes in meaning as they are passed from mind to mind. It also means that it is easier to catch up on things that have already been discovered. Knowledge and ideas do not have to be acquired from scratch by each new generation, freeing up our time and headspace to make new discoveries and plumb the depths of new understanding. Our acquisition of knowledge and understanding of the world accelerated as a result of the long tradition of recording stories, and it all began by recording them on rocks. Parallel tales. There is another story written in rock, but this one wasn't written by us. It was written by nature, and it begins further back in time than our own human story, much further back. And it unfolds over a timescale so vast that it is impossible for the human mind to fully comprehend. It began about 4.5 billion years ago. This is the time on a scale that dwarfs the 200,000 years during which humans have walked the planet, and it has an appropriately evocative name: deep time, or geological time. This is the reel on which Earth's story plays out. It unravels on timescales where continents move, seafloors are raised to jagged mountain peaks, and millions of species come and go as they evolve before marching headlong into extinction. The only way that the slightest sense of the immensity of geological time can be grasped is through analogy and metaphor. Imagine a 24-hour geological day, where the entire 4.5 billion years or so of Earth's history is squeezed down into 24 hours. On this timescale, the history of humanity would be just shy of 4 seconds long. The crosshatch pattern from the Blombos cave was drawn 1.5 seconds ago. Writing was invented about 1/10 of a second ago, which, as it happens, is the time it takes to blink. Dinosaurs, often thought of as ancient life forms from the deepest recesses of the past, only evolved something like 1 hour and 15 minutes ago, and their time on this planet came to an end after about 55 minutes. Trees have existed for a mere 2 hours. The land was little more than a bleak rocky desert until land plants evolved some 2.5 hours ago, and the oceans were devoid of fish only half an hour before that. The story of the Earth, its geological history, tells of the things that have happened since it formed to the present day, and it has experienced unimaginable change during that time. Most of its story has been lost, much like our own human story, but plenty remains to be read if you know where to look and how to read it. Like the early chapters of the human story, this story is written in rock too, and it can be read using the language of geology. Like the pages of a book. Silt accumulating in the dark oceanic abyss. Molten rock crystallizing far below the Earth's surface. Sand dunes rolling across ancient deserts. The circumstances under which a rock came into being can, more often than not, be deduced from its geological character. Each rock contains a single short story, but a sequence